The Price is Right has been a beloved mainstay of American television for decades, and Drew Carey's tenure on the show seemed unbreakable. He was known for his charisma and sense of humor, but there have been hints of change lately. What's happening in the background? According to recent rumors, Drew Carey may be leaving the show, leaving fans and industry insiders wondering if this is the end of an era. Join us as we look at Drew's path and the future of The Price is Right, finding out what's really going on. Where is Patricia? It's pretty exciting to be chosen to play a game on game shows like The Price is Right, and if you were called up to participate, you wouldn't have to miss any of the fun. Patricia Bernard was nowhere to be found when the fantastic original host Bob Barker called her to come play. Eventually, she was found in the little girl's room. Whoops. Patricia seems to have gotten too excited and lost control of her emotions. Drop it like it's hot. Who doesn't like it when a famous person guests on a game show? When it came to Plinko, Darlene had a true partner in crime in Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg not only got all of his price guesses right, but he also knew exactly where she should drop her chips. Like It's Hot, Darlene won $12,500 from the dynamic duo. Many people love and care about Aaron Paul's character, Jesse Pinkman, from the great suspenseful TV show Breaking Bad. But Aaron Paul has been on TV before. In the late 1990s, he was chosen to compete in The Price is Right as a young, eager, and soon-to-be famous actor. During his time on the show, he was excited and acted like he was back in the lab cooking with Walter White. Unfortunately, Paul lost one of the most devastating losses the show has ever had by overbidding by $132 on a sports car. A happy accident? If you work in the real world, you might be able to find and fix your mistake before anyone else does. But that's not the case on TV, especially game shows like The Price is Right. During a contestant's guessing task, six-year The Price is Right model Manuela Arbelas not only accidentally revealed the winning prize tag, but it was also caught on tape for everyone to see. The winner, Andrea, got to take home a brand new Hyundai Sonata CE. Ari's first thought was to hide behind the game board and cry, but she was stopped, and the show's cast was understanding and sympathetic. After all, we're all human. Offended by a great TV moment, we'll get you a brand new car. We're reminded that even TV stars make mistakes. By the time model Rachel Reynolds accidentally crashes a brand new Ford Mustang V6 coupe into the set, whoops, it was hard to look away from the whole thing. And the camera kept pausing to show Reynolds mouthing the words, "Oh no, oh no." But host Drew Carrey casually told candidate Cameron, "I swear when you win this one, we'll get you a brand new car, because this one will be wrecked." Right on the notes. Do you remember when Terry Nice, a former weatherman, correctly predicted that when Drew revealed his price, it was right on the money? Terry almost fell over in shock. It was for a trailer worth $23. $743.3. How did he do it? Later, the amazing weatherman said he had studied the game and found that the awards themes were recurring. What can we say? The fact that a meteorologist would be good at patterns shouldn't be a surprise, right? 2 seconds to spare. Contestant Cynthia's amazing ability to predict the future was one of the most amazing things that happened on the show. It's safe to assume she may have had a lot of beginner's luck, since she admitted at the beginning of her. She won the clock game after only 8 seconds out of the 30 seconds she had to guess the prizes: a sofa and a fitness machine, and she also got an extra $1 million for being right in less than 10 seconds. Let's have a three-way tie. Catherine, Manfred, Jessica, and another contestant all won at the same time during the game in 2016. It was a very exciting event, as Catherine, Manfred, and Jessica faced off against each other during their first spins on the big wheel game, and they all spun exactly $1. With great excitement, the three of them went up to each other and did a group run and jump. Who would have thought that all three competitors would win at the same time? Strangely enough, Drew Carrey said, Let's have a three-way tie before anyone spins this, brought up our 420 friendly friend Evan, who was excited to come down and play in the one-bid game to spend his preferred amount. He happily told his first guest, "I've waited all my life to say this, Bob, $420. Unfortunately, his calm and contented bet didn't seem to go very far, as the person next to him won by bidding $421 on one of the things. After all, it's all in good fun, even though Evan felt like he had been stabbed in the heart. A few years ago, they had no idea how exciting the celebrations would be. Contestants on that show had a chance to win up to $175,000 instead of the usual $50,000, because the board was changed so that the chips could land on either $353,500 or $335,000 instead of the usual 100,500, 1,000, or 10,000. One of the contestants, Ryan, won an amazing $139,200 that episode, setting a new record for the game. Casual Kenny is one of the show's most straightforward and informal characters. In his honest, concise explanations, he not only made Drew Carrey laugh, but he also showed the world that it's possible to be truly real. Kenny said, "My name is Kenny. I've been making wrong decisions my whole life. I'm going with the grill," before placing his bid during the bargain game segment. Surprisingly, he won the game because he ignored the audience and made the wrong decision, which was very motivating. Goodbye, Bob. Saying goodbye to the iconic TV personality Bob Barker was one of the hardest things the show had to do since it began in the 1970s. He was loved and respected, and his presence was always very important. He loved his fans as much as they loved him, so his departure was bittersweet. After hosting one of the most popular game shows for 50 years, he politely and warmly ended the show by saying, "Thank you very much for inviting me into your homes for the last 50 years. Also," he asked, "please remember to spade or neuter your pets to help control the pet population. Farewell to all of you. Way off price." Luckily, you have your competitors and the crowd to help you guess what the object is during the first bidding round before you play games for the rest of the show. However, contestant Corey's $7,000 bet on a hammock was arguably one of the craziest bids on the show. Other contestants had guessed $1,200, $750, and $755, and he was the last person to bid. In the end, the hammock sold for $800, so Corey was out of luck. Nobody can argue that Bob Barker will always be the show's mainstay, but Drew Carrey has done a great job preserving the show's legacy. He returned to the set for the first time in April 2009, implying he couldn't leave it for long. He made a high-profile effort to promote his autobiography, Priceless Memories. In addition to being honored with his presence, he gave each audience member a copy of his book, What an Invaluable Prize, beep, 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 beep. In the 2020s, working with technology will inevitably lead to occasional technical problems. But one of the cutest and funniest parts of the event was when Bob had to quickly patch the broken big wheel beeping sound effect so the show could go on. The beeper isn't working, so we could stop for many hours and fix it, but I told them that the audience could hear us, couldn't you? During the performance, Bob told the crowd, after a short synchronization exercise, the crowd flawlessly created their sound effects for the part. "This is fantastic, it unites everyone. I believe we can turn off that mechanical beeper." Bob yelled in excitement even more. Aaron Paul's 2017 redemption. You remember how Aaron Paul lost all his winnings from the show due to $132 overbid. That was definitely one of the saddest scenes on the show. Drew Carrey stepped in and helped them with their secret plan when he saw them in the act, but Paul decided to bet $26,000 when he had another chance to bid on the same car. Unfortunately, 177 years later, the same car was worth $4,895, so he lost again. Wright changed the prizes and added male models in 2012. Rob Wilson, a beautiful 24-year-old actor from Boston, won a competition and, for the first time in the show's history, got the chance to try his luck as a movie star. Wilson told the public, "As an actor, this is just a great opportunity, but as long as the people." Another game show star and celebrity guessing on one of your favorite game shows is always fun, but like Aaron Paul, another soon-to-be famous person had the chance to perform on The Price is Right before they became famous. Wheel of Fortune is another popular game show. In 1980, Vanna White, the show's iconic model, was chosen to compete on The Price is Right. She never made it past contestants' row to spin the big wheel, but it's a historic moment to remember. Drew Carrey interviewed the birthday boy and said that he and Ryan both admired each other as TV hosts and agreed that picking a favorite episode is tough. Plinko is without a doubt the most played game on the show. Remember how we said that Plinko gives you the chance to win up to $50,000? In 2018, for the show's 35th anniversary, the prize pool was raised to $175,000. Ryan broke the game's previous record by winning an amazing $39,100. However, the record was held by a competitor, Ryan, in 2017 after dropping his first Plinko chip on the 10,000 and his second on the. He won his third 10,000, his fourth 500, and finished the game with a spectacular finish on the 10,000. He left with 31,000 by 00. Plinko is your best chance to win money on the show if your name is Ryan 1 Super Lucky 7. The game Lucky 7 first aired early in the series in 1973, and one lucky competitor had an amazing moment during it. About 50 years later, Stephanie had to guess how much a brand new Nissan King Cab S in 2019 4X2 is worth, and she was right, $4,634. 00. Primal's dramatic entrance was so amazing that even Carey was speechless. Come On Down, as we've already talked about, Bob Barker celebrated his 90th birthday on the show, and it was just as touching and important for the birthday boy as it was for all the fans and audience members who were there. That episode also had one of the show's most important moments. Bob said, "Come on down for the first time to these elected competitor Evelyn." What an honor for Evelyn and Bob. April Fool's Day, 2015. The show's April Fool's joke left the audience and viewers at home shocked, crying, or not believing it. George Gray, the show's beloved. It was the first part of the episode when the commentator welcomed Drew Carrey to the set, but then Bob Barker walked on stage. Why did the famous retired TV personality surprise us with this third appearance? Because The Price is Right chose me to be their April Fool. Yes, exactly. During the show, Bob shared the most popular game, Plinko, which is exciting and interesting because it has reward chips. As we already said, both Bob Barker and Drew Carrey agreed that it was by far the most popular game on the show. But what time did the game air? It's all fun and games in theory, but people who get to compete on the show feel a lot more pressure and excitement because they have the chance to win real money and prizes. Darlene, a participant, showed us in one of the early 1970s episodes of the show how thrilled she was after winning her round on the Showcase Showdown. Darlene, who was high on adrenaline, became so excited that she passed out right away. Bob Barker checked on her right away and she was fine. A brand new car and a brand new game. The game show has added many fun games over the years. We talked about how Plinko became the most famous. But what about the most recent game made just for the show? Gridlock had its major premiere in 2017, and unfortunately Dwight was the first player to enter. The game debuted with a beautiful new car called a Dodge Challenger SXT. However, the release of a new game is still a big deal, Diane. Don't just stand there on the show. Many awkward and funny things happened everywhere. For example, when participant Yvonne played Super Ball, it started to irritate Bob Barker in a way that had never been seen before. Yvonne couldn't get the ball to roll back down the skee ball ramp after it got stuck. Bob kept asking Diane, one of the models, to get him another ball because he was so upset that there wasn't one. But Diane didn't just stand there when Bob Barker yelled. His bright, funny, smooth-talking talents as a game show host are lovable and engaging. Breaking the glass wheel, The Price is Right, is relatable because the contestants are regular people who want to have fun and excitingly win money. That's what makes the show so great. But sometimes we forget that the people who work on shows like The Price is Right are also people like us. This is like how Robert, one of the competitors, spun the big wheel so violently that he broke some glass when Drew Carrey asked him to. Following the wheel's stop, George arrived with his tiny hand vacuum. Carrey praised him, and the crowd applauded. George then bowed and curtsied. "Wait a minute," Bob Barker actually said. Oh, hold on a second. The answer is no, 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 no." And he stopped the big wheel from spinning because one of the competitors, Cherish, tried to spin it backwards. Interestingly, he thought she was just winding up, but later realized she was purposely spinning it backwards. She landed on $1 when he told her to spin the big wheel forward and be normal after a chance to be different by spinning it in the opposite direction. Some memorable moments happen behind the scenes. It looks like Cupid has been working on the show and that love is in the air among audience members, even though we all know that many people are in love with the great Bob Barker. Executive producer Mike Richards told CBS that we had a couple who met in line and got engaged last season. How sweet! Who would have thought that one of the longest-running game shows, The Price is Right, would have been on TV for almost 50 years? Bob Barker hosted the show from its start in 1972 until his retirement in 2007, when Drew Carrey took over. With over 10,000 episodes, The Price is Right is one of the oldest game shows. If you were wondering, that's more than Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune combined. Bob Barker used to host the show with dark hair, but we eventually came to love and respect him with gray hair. Barker colored his hair when it started to turn gray before deciding to accept it. The game show host let it grow out after taking a vacation. After he turned gray, the show's ratings went through the roof. Not every winner gets their prize, though. This is because prizes are taxed, and the amount of taxes they pay depends on how much they won. Sometimes it's a lot of money. Some contestants didn't want to take the prize because they didn't want to give his ex-wife the $10,000 he won, and one contestant refused to give it to her. Bob Barker's work with PETA. Do you remember him saying at the end of each episode, "This is Bob Barker reminding you to help control the pet population, have your pet spayed or neutered"? Barker worked with PETA and lived up to his beliefs because of the pageant's use of fur jackets and the fur coat prize offer. Barker even stopped hosting Masuza in 1988, after 20 years. Drew Carrey carried on the tradition by telling viewers to limit the number of pets they had. We talked about a few examples, like the time a competitor won a brand new car when the model accidentally revealed the price tag. Another interesting example was when a competitor had to guess the price of a Dell laptop and workstation. Their guess was $5,000 off, and the computer turned out to be an HP instead of a Dell. They ended up taking the computer home anyway, even though they were completely off. Prices come from California. Have you ever done the right thing and asked where the prices came from? Prices vary by state, so producers find their prices in California, where the show is filmed, to make sure that everything is fair. This way, even though not all of the competitors are from California, they know what to expect while competing on the show. There are times when game shows seem too good to be true. After a lot of research, it was found that The Price is Right is real. even though many people have wondered if it's rigged to make sure people win or lose. The candidates are real people, not actors, and there aren't any secret tricks, except for special appearances by Aaron Paul or Snoop Dogg. The viewers hold on for hours. Thank you for your patience. If you were hoping to be on the show, you'll have to wait hours just to get into the studio, and then you'll have to wait for your name to be called. They had to wait 4.5 hours to get into the studios and then had to tape for an extra 90 minutes. Is the wait worth it, in your opinion? It should be if you leave with prizes like boats and cars. CBS stopped recording when Drew Carrey's ex-fiancée was killed. Fans were upset when Drew Carrey replaced Bob Barker in 2007, but he quickly got used to the role. In 2018, Carey announced his engagement to Amy Harwick. They broke up, and 2 years later she was killed, and her ex-boyfriend was blamed. CBS Studios stopped filming the show out of respect for Carey, who was going through a hard time. Since most contestants don't know much about TV, the long slim mic is used because it's less intrusive and more natural, not because it looks better. Contestants are less likely to grab the microphone this way because it feels like they are being questioned, and all candidates are being mic'd. In case you were wondering, the bonus prize comes from Drew Carrey's salary. It's amazing how exciting it is for competitors to get a flawless bid before November 1998. They got $100, but now they get $500. Where does that money come from? Drew Carrey gives it to the contestants out of his coat pocket. You might not believe it, but Carrey uses his money, and it's not from. CBS says that the contestants are not chosen at random. The host has given at least $187,000 of his own money to charity since 2017. The producers screen them and do character-based interviews. I'm looking for energy, sincerity, and potential humor, and if they can equal my energy or exceed it and maintain it, they're at the top of my list, Blitz told the New York Post. So the key to getting chosen is to look like you're having fun and not try too much. Some people think that jumping up and down or waving their fists will help, but it doesn't, Bob Barker said. Bob Barker has been in a number of movies and TV shows. In one, he played himself fighting with an actor and knocking him to the ground, much like Adam Sandler's character Happy Gilmore. That scene inspired one of the movie's most famous lines. Barker was also a guest on The Nanny, The Bold and the Beautiful, and Bonanza. There are over 30 cars in a private lot. The most exciting thing about the shows is that the contestants leave with brand new cars. Most of them have at least 3 different models. Some people only apply to win a brand new car, and they switch cars often to keep things interesting. The Price is Right really has a private lot with more than 30 cars at a time. How many cars do they have? That's crazy. The prize was a Ferrari F48 Spider worth just $285,100. Bob Barker was easy to kiss. He was the most popular character on Price is Right, and we all fell in love with him. Many contestants were just as excited to kiss the host on the cheek as they were to win the gifts over the years. According to CBS, Barker received 22,000 kisses while hosting the show. That's a lot of kisses, which is. If you were in the audience and everything seemed loud at home when the host says, "Come on down," it can be hard for candidates to hear who is calling out names. The producers came up with a solution: cue cards with the names of the contestants who were called. There isn't much that can be done to stop the noise. A contestant in rigged Plinko wins $30,000. Winning big amounts of money is hard. In 2008, a player won $10,000 every time they lost a chip, winning $30,000. Neither Drew Carrey nor the public could understand how lucky she was. It wasn't luck. The creators had a plan. Rigged the game with fishing line so that the winner would get $110,000 every time, and they filmed a commercial before the season. No one saw the fishing line because it was so thin, but she still got the $30,000. If you've made it this far, that means you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell icon for notifications.